So does Missouri have a cottage food law, and can you sell food from home in Missouri legally? Well, as a matter of fact, you can. In this video, we're actually going to cover some updates to Missouri's cottage food business laws and go over the entire list of the types of food that you can and can't make. We're going to discuss everything about Missouri's cottage food law right now here on Cottage. All right, so welcome to Cottage Food Laws. This is a brand new channel here on YouTube. We're gonna dedicate everything you need to know about home-based food businesses under the Cottage Food Laws for every single state, including resources to help you get up and running, including insurances, and of course, places where you can find supplies online, where you can find packaging and labeling, and we're gonna go over everything else in between. So I am not new to YouTube. We actually have 3 other YouTube channels that are dedicated to food entrepreneurship. We have Marketing Food Online, and of course Food Truck Freaks, dedicated to food trucks, and of course Marketing Food Online too. So my name is Damian Roberti. I'm founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. I am a food entrepreneur. I have been for over 14 years with my wife Sylvia. We operate e-commerce food businesses, and we also operated several retail Italian bakeries here where we live in Georgia. But we wanted to dive into, I've got some great information from a friend of mine who sent me over some specific information about Missouri's cottage food laws, so I wanted to dive into that here on this video. So they did have a update to their bill, which did get passed, and it also is active right now as of 2022. The Missouri HB House Bill 1697, which actually allows online sales. This is actually very, very cool for you guys in Missouri. Online sales and in-state shipping of baked goods, spices, herbs, jams, and jellies, and a variety of other food products. But the other great thing is they removed the limitation of $50,000 a year. So you can actually sell as much as you want because there is a no sales limit on that, which means that you can create a $500,000 baking business if you wanted to from your home, or even $1 million baking business. There is no sales limit on what you can create. So with that being said, and the updates, let's dive into specifically what Missouri's cottage food law is. So they have no sales limit. Producers also do not have to have a permit or license from the health department as well, or take a training course of any kind, which is fantastic. It makes it a lot easier for you to get up and running. So where can you sell your cottage foods in Missouri? Do you have farmers markets, roadside stands, and local events are perfectly allowed. Now, the updated version is that they do have an online ability to sell your product, but it has to be shipped and stay within the state of Missouri. That's a little bit tricky. Having my own experience with e-commerce for over a decade now, it is a very challenging thing to operate a business online when you have a lot of people who have access outside of your state of Missouri, can see your website, can order products and such, but you can only ship it within the state. That's going to be a little tricky for some of you. You definitely want to check out the apps. We have a couple of other resources down below this video in the description section. There's a fantastic app called Save a Plate that you can actually check out as well. That's a very good one. That's actually being used by quite a bit of local food producers, where you have the opportunity to sell or even buy local foods within your state or even your city or county. So definitely check out that link down below. It's worth looking at and looking into. Now, the one thing that is prohibited, there's a couple things that's prohibited. You can't use a delivery service in Missouri to deliver your cottage foods once you make them from home. You cannot also do wholesale. That's the only drawback too. There are some states, very few that do this, but some states that allow actually wholesale and of course mail order and such as you will outside of the state. Catering is something that you still have to have a commercial kitchen for. You won't be able to cater, but with all that being said, they do have a lot of different food items that you can make. So let me go through a list really quick. And of course, this is not an all-inclusive list. This is a good understanding of what you can make. Definitely check out the resources we have on our blog for specific links to the state of Missouri's website. But things like bagels, you can do brownies, cookies, cupcakes, macarons. I may have said that wrong, but I always say macarons. Tortillas, you can do wedding cakes, pizzelle cookies, you can do donuts even. Breads of any variety, that's a huge variety as well. If you're into making cakes or biscuits, you can do that. Now the candy as well, you can do fudge. Now keep in mind, all of these items that I'm telling you, these are the basis of the product that you can make. What I mean by that is, when I say cakes or chocolate cookies or any types of fudge or truffles or candies, you can create all kinds of flavor profiles and variations of those. So fudge is one of them. There's literally a limitless amount of types of fudge that you can make as far as flavors are concerned. Candies you can make, brittles. There's all kinds of nut brittles, things that you can put dried veggies in or dried fruits in them. You can spice them up. Brittles come in hundreds of different variations. Lollipops, buttercream frostings you can do as well. But They just can't contain anything that is going to be refrigerated or non-potentially hazardous. It's going to be potentially hazardous, which would be items that have to be refrigerated or time or temperature sensitive. What do I mean by that specifically? So buttercream frostings, for instance, things like eggs, I believe it's also cream cheeses, those types of things, they go into the frosting. You can create that, but you cannot do that under cottage food laws because those types of frostings have to be refrigerated because they're temperature sensitive. So things like honey you can do, oils, vinegars, syrups, coffee beans even. You can start a coffee business. If you're in Missouri and you wanted to create a coffee business from home with the no sales limit they have, you can create $1 million coffee bean business from your home if you're willing to do the work and do that. Mixes, you can do teas, dried fruits, vegetables, cereals. You can actually, this is very unique. Missouri allows you to also create carbonated drinks, which is something, carbonated beverages. If you have the ability to do that, if that's your passion, you wanted to create something like that, you can do that as well. Now, things like empanadas, but unfortunately you can't do like cheese-filled or meat-filled empanadas. You can do other variations if it's a pastry version or something. But again, time or temperature-sensitive foods, not gonna happen. Tamales, pies, danishes, candied apples, caramel corns, chocolate-covered fruits, fruit leathers, marshmallows, kettle corn, popcorn, vegetable chips, nuts. You can do a variety of nuts if you want to get into roasting nuts. Again, that is a basis of the type of product you can make. Now, from there, you can create a ton of flavor profiles. Different nuts that are seasoned sweet or salty or savory. You can come up with 1 million different versions. You can sell it from home. So some of the prohibited items. So knowing that they are not potentially hazardous, going through the list I just mentioned, some of the potentially hazardous, as they're called, are things like pickles, salsas, right? Mustards, sauces, meat jerkies. When you're dealing with raw meat, raw proteins, that is something that you really need to get into a commercial kitchen or commercial setting with, not something you can do from home or in your backyard in the shed, something you can't do. Low acid canned foods, ketchups, like I mentioned pickles before. All of these are acidic foods, meaning that they have a certain pH level. Now, it becomes a little trickier because a lot of the cottage food laws throughout almost every state prohibit these types of products because fermented foods and things of that sort, when the pH levels are not correct, bacteria can form and you may not be aware of it, but if someone eats it, they can get very sick and ill. So those are some of the potentially hazardous foods, as they're called, under the Missouri cottage food laws that you can't make. So a few other tips. Now, direct sales only. Remember that you have to be directly, if you're at a farmer's market or a certain event, you have opened up a booth, me, Damien, delivering the product directly to you, that's called direct sales only. The other thing is that now that they've updated it, that you can ship your products, as long as the customer who purchased it is the one receiving that you can also ship them within the state, okay? And you can use the FedEx, UPS, post office, whoever you like. Interstate sales are prohibited. That is across your state line, as we mentioned before. So you can't ship it from Missouri to Florida, Missouri to California. That's illegal. That's prohibited. No. So employees are restricted too. So the idea is once you have this business in your home, be aware that you can only normally have just your family members or someone directly related to you in there. And I normally 1 or even 2 at a time. Some states require you only have 1, but you can't necessarily hire people and have a full-time staff inside your home. That's something that you can't do. All right, so how do you label, Damien? How do we label our Missouri cottage foods? What are the requirements? So there's 2, 4, 6 specific things that you gotta have on your label in Missouri. So when you start your cottage food business, be aware that you need to have your business address. That's going to be your home. You cannot use a P.O. box. You cannot use your neighbor's house. You cannot use a commercial kitchen. You have to have your home because they want to know where it came from. Down the road, if somebody, a few weeks or months down the road, if somebody got sick or got ill or something, and they made a complaint to the health department, then they're going to want to know where that came from, and that's going to be a problem for you. So you want to make sure you've got your business address. Next up, your business name. So if it's Damien's Natural Cake Business or whatever it may be, that name of the business needs to be on the label. Ingredients needs to be on there too. You need to make sure you list the ingredients from greater least down to the least used, from greater use down to the least. So obviously if you're doing cakes or cookies, the bulk of that would be like flour, then your sugars, then your egg, and so on and so on. Whatever your recipe calls for, from greatest down to the least. The net weight. Now, this will become important like if you're doing nuts, granolas, if you're doing things based on weight, chips, potato chips, if you're doing something of that sort, or dried fruits of some kind, or even teas or coffees. The net weight is always going to be the weight of the product, not the container that it's in. So you want to make sure that if you're doing a pound of coffee beans, let's say, you want to make sure that it says net weight of 16 ounces, not 16 ounces plus the container or 16 ounces plus the bag. Make sure it's only just the net weight. That has to be required. Next up, the product's name. So if you've got, let's say, a gourmet roasted cinnamon hazelnut roasted coffee beans, if that's the name of the product, that's a pretty long name, but if that's the name of the product, that needs to be on the actual package itself too. If you're doing just chocolate chip cookies, let's say, or sugar cookies, and it's Damien's world famous chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate chip cookies is the name of the product that needs to be on the packaging. Lastly, like most states, you have to have a little statement, like it's kind of like a disclosure, stating that the product was made in a unlicensed or uninspected kitchen, making sure that they know it's a home-based food business, it's a cottage food business, it's not regulated, there's no inspections within the state of Missouri, nobody's gonna come in, so you need to relay that to your customer, let them know that, okay? So lastly, let's see, I think we covered pretty much everything there. Yes, we did. So all in all, that's the gist of what you can sell, how you can sell it, how much you can sell, what you can and what you can't. Now, more specific information, definitely check out that link down below this video. We have a blog post specifically for the state of Missouri on our website. And then, of course, check out our other YouTube channels. If you're not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'll have more information here on Cottage Food Laws, all about specifically packaging and everything else. So if you're looking for more information in the state of Missouri, we're going to have tons more videos. So definitely take a look and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.